Is it me? Am I trying too hard? Should I just block them and just raise this child on my own? Like one morning changed everything for me. There was a morning where I would never forget. Literally, I was cooking, and while my child was in the kitchen with me, he was crying loudly. I was tired. Not like physically tired, but emotionally tired. Tired of pretending like I was okay. And in that moment, I asked myself, are you happy? Hi, hi, hi. Welcome to my channel. This is my first video. Yeah, welcome. Okay, hey guys, want this clearly? Okay, my name is Ruki. Welcome to my channel where I talk about the chaos in parenting, co-parenting, and absent parents. Feel my energy. I'm super excited starting this. So yeah. Okay, and I'll be sharing a little bit of my story in some of these videos, and I'm just gonna share my experience, what I know, talking about this, about parenting, talking about all of that. So yeah, I need to calm down. Too much energy. Okay, like the topic says, let's get right into it, right? Oh, look, I know that you're in love, or maybe you were. So was I. Not the casual kind of love though. We talk about the deep kind of love, makes us start building castles in the sky. That kind of love that had you plan a future together. Do you remember the dreams, the number of children, the what else? Picking baby names, laughing about whether the child will have the dimples or their smile or their stubbornness, that kind of building or even building Pinterest boards filled with nurseries and two-car garage and a vacation in Santorini. Anyways, yeah, that kind of love. And maybe it happened. Maybe you did have, this beautiful fantasy wedding. Maybe you moved in together. Maybe for a while it really felt like a dream that was taking form. Then along the line, you took the lost step and had that beautiful baby, those beautiful children, and boom, you found yourself doing everything alone. And I don't just mean the feeding and the laundry, I mean the emotional work, the mental load, the worrying that, oh, I'll figure it out. That kind of responsibility that became your second name. I'll figure it out, figure it out all the time. Even while married, these things happen. Even while living under the same roof, parenting alone happens. And that's the part that no one prepares you for. You start asking, how are we both here and I'm still alone? And honestly, it's hard to explain the kind of loneliness that exists when someone is technically there but not present. You try to hold it together. You try to convince yourself that it's just a phase, but you're slowly asking the question of, how am I just alone in a relationship, parenting alone? Why am I the one walking or waking up 3 times in the night? Why you sleep throughout? We all know the ones we're talking about. Why do I have an invisible partner? I used to cry in the bathroom when my baby slept. Literally. My little tiny baby. While he'll be there playing NBA or watching a series or laughing with friends or posting what silly me. And I was melting on the inside, quietly. But Love is Blind isn't just a Netflix title, it's reality. It's how you stay, how you smile, how you pray that maybe tomorrow will be different. Women, us, when you're in love. That one day, it finally ends, that you're forced to choose peace over pain. And you're like, you're not just single anymore. Now you're just single and you have a child. So you're really not single. And then you'll be like, okay, we didn't work well as partners, but we'll be doing better as co-parents. But then you realize that you're not co-anything. At first, You tell yourself, oh, it's way better. Make healthy co-parents boundaries, respectful communication, shared schoolwork, you know, shared birthday planning. But how many of us did that dream, just disappears? Because one day you wake up and you realize that they're gone, not dead, not lost, just gone, absent, and not just physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, and even spiritually. They start acting like parenting has an expiring date, like it was a trial period, and now they're off living like they never had a child to even begin with. And you're left with the diapers, the tantrum, the sleepless nights, doctor's visits, the growth sprouts, what else? The school assignments, the first heartbreak, y'all. And they're just there leaving. And this is the thing we do. You start losing it. You start overcompensating. Try to be both parents. You start buying extra gifts. You show up, early. You say yes to everything. You smile in public and cry on your pillow. I know you do that. You start acting strong because you don't have any other option. You have to make decisions, or you start second guessing yourself. You try to keep routines, values, and safety intact, but you're slowly just dying on the inside. And you wonder, is it me? Am I trying too hard? Should I just block them and just raise this child on my own? Some of you already did block them. Or you start saying, is it wrong that you want them to show up? Look, let me say this with all the love in my heart, you're not crazy. You're just carrying the weight of someone else's irresponsibility. That weight, it doesn't belong to you forever. And I'll say this again. You are not crazy, but you're carrying what was never meant to be yours alone. The day I accepted that I couldn't make someone parent a child they didn't want to show up for, but the day I began my healing. I stopped parenting from pain, and I stopped parenting from resentment. I also stopped, trying to aim their participation through, trying to be polite, guilting them for pleading or being passive aggressive, all of that shenanigans stuff. And here's what no one tells you: you don't need closure to create peace. You don't need cooperation to be a good parent. You don't even need their permission to be free, honestly. That was my turning point. And that can be yours too. Okay? That's why I'm making this video, because parenting through pain can be like the leaking bottle syndrome. Now, let me paint a picture here. Imagine trying to pour water into a bottle that's been punctured. No matter how much you pour, it keeps leaking, slowly, constantly, and quietly. And that was me. I looked like I was holding it all together. I was, showing up at school events, posting smiley pictures on social media, like most of you all do, praying for strength, and but emotionally, internally, I was leaking everywhere, snapping at every little thing, crying without even knowing why, feeling numb one minute and deeply angry the next, exhausted but unable to sleep. And this wasn't just hormones, y'all. That's what happens when you carry invisible pain into your parenting. When you try to look all put together while internally shattered. When you give and give and give and no one pours back into you. And yet, you keep showing up. And you, my dear, you are a warrior in disguise. Silent battles that we don't often talk about in co-parenting is the war. Not with your ex, no, but within yourself. There's this emotional weight, the ache in your heart when the child asks for the other parent, the tension of answering hard questions without breaking their heart or corrupting their innocence. It's also this overcompensating we often do. We feel like we need to be more, we need to do more because you're so scared that your child will feel the lack. Then let's talk about this identity loss. When life becomes a circle of giving, fixing, protecting, solving, I don't even recognize the woman in the mirror anymore, or that person in the mirror anymore. And let's even talk about the guilt. Am I enough? Did I choose wrong? Could I have stayed longer, for my child? And then there's a fear. What if I fail this child? What if they repeat the cycle? What if I'm not doing this right? Let me pause you there and say this to you slowly. You are not failing. You are fighting. You are healing. You are definitely growing. And your child is watching all of this. You don't need their permission to heal. You do not have to wait for your ex to become responsible for you to create a new reality. Now, say this out loud if you must. You don't have to wait for them to be mature or to apologize or to cooperate better or to contribute more or to communicate clearly. You don't need their cooperation to co-parent with excellence. And you may be wondering how this is co-parenting. Because co-parenting isn't about what they do, it's about how you navigate. You can reset your own expectations, reduce your pace, raise your child with confidence, find a community and an accountability partner, create a new tradition and release bitterness that was never yours to carry. Reconnect with the person you once were. And trust me, you'll be able to navigate parenting perfectly. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but it's possible. And here are practical steps that I took that helped me. And this wasn't just overnight, each day at a time. Number one, I was intentional with my emotions. I gave myself permission to feel, to cry, to journal, to name the grief, to stop pretending like I was okay when I really wasn't. Number two, I set boundaries. I started trying to keep the peace by walking on eggshells. I drew healthy boundaries that I will allow, I knew what I will allow, what I wouldn't. Number three, I found my tribe. I found friends and women who got it, who didn't just tell me what I want to hear, but gave me perspective. Women who prayed for me and also pulled me out of that pity party. Number four, I reframed my mind. I shifted my thinking from victim to conqueror. Number five, I let go of fantasies. And this was hard, but I had to release the version of family that I always imagined so I could embrace the one I actually had and lead with clarity. Look, you're not just raising a child, you're raising a legacy. Listen to me. This job you're doing, this soul work, this endless giving, it matters. And it's not just about feeding or schooling, cleaning. It's not just all about that. You're shaping a mind, you're molding a future, you're healing a bloodline, you're breaking generational cycles, you're showing your child what strength looks like, you're showing them how to bounce back when life breaks you. You're proving that abandonment does not define identity. So yes, cry when you must, because that's no weakness. But then wipe the tears, fix your crown, and keep building. You don't need a perfect co-parent to raise an exceptional child. You just need the healed, whole, powerful you. Although this is a topic for another day, let me tell you this. Healed, wholesome, stable parents raise the smartest kids. If you could relate to any part of what I just said, it's because I've lived it. I've been there. I've walked the nights of questioning, the mornings of panic, the afternoons filled with the what ifs. But I found a better way forward. In my course, Effective Co-Parenting with a Difficult Ex, I don't just teach you how to navigate the chaos. I walk you through practical tools to create peace, to protect your sanity, and raise confident, healthy children without the other parents being present or bringing their toxic nature to the stand. Now, what I'm trying to say that it's not like the other courses will teach you, just try to get along and all of those shenanigans. Not like that. Not like hold hands and just get along, because most of the time that's what everyone tells you to do. Just try to find a way to get along with each other. It's just for a time being. No. But I tell you that what is realistic, what is strategic, and what actually works. You don't have to figure this out alone. You don't have to just survive. You can review it, you can reset, you can rise. Now, if you want to get that, the link to the free training is in the description of this video. Let's move on. Now, let's be honest. You didn't plan for this, right? You didn't sign up to do it alone. Maybe some of you did, but not all. No one walks down the aisle into a relationship thinking, I'm going to raise this child all by myself while also trying to heal from the damage this person caused me. And yet, you're here. Some of us stayed so long, hoping they'll change. Some of us left too soon, and now we're kind of like guilt tripping ourselves, saying, maybe I didn't try hard enough, and all of this. Oh. And then there's those of us that are just somewhere in the middle, holding our babies in one hand and our broken expectation in the other hand, trying to keep it all together while quietly falling apart. Like one morning changed everything for me. There was a morning where I would never forget. Literally, I was cooking, and while my child was in the kitchen with me, he was crying loudly. I was tired. Not like physically tired, but emotionally tired. Tired of pretending like I was okay. And in that moment, I asked myself, are you happy? I thought about it again, and not because I didn't know the answer, but because I never allowed myself to ask that question. I just dropped the spoon, sat down, I pulled my child into my arms, and I cried. Not because I was weak, but because I had been too strong for too long. That moment changed me. It made me realize I was just surviving and not living. While my child was fed, clothed, loved, they were also watching me shrink in silence. So I decided no more shrinking, not for him, not even for the ghost of the family I thought I would have, not for the fear of being labored too much. Because our children deserve to see us healed, not perfect, not polished, but whole. Here's what single parenting teaches you really. I know when you become a single parent, this is what kind of face. You become your own backup. The child is sick, school calls, the car breaks down, and the bills are due. You don't have to say, oh, let me ask the other parents. You roll up your sleeves and you figure everything out by yourself. You build resilience. You pray from a place of survivor. You cry into worship songs. You find God not just in Sunday service, but in school, pick up lines in emergency roles. You master the art of strategic silence. You learn when to speak and when to preserve your peace. Not everything deserves a response, especially not text sent just to provoke you. You redefine what success means. And it's not just a degree or job title. It's when your child sleeps peacefully knowing that they are loved. It's when you finally rest and feel safe in your own home. Finally meet that version of you who is brave, bold, capable, soft, fierce, and deeply faithful all at once. There's several parents that held on to wishes, like a friend called Oki. She used to wake up thinking that she'll get a message from the other parent saying, she's checking up on the kids. And one day she stopped checking her phone and started checking up on herself instead. And she kind of grew from there. That he wasn't just, or that her ex wasn't going to come one day and just rescue her. Know one thing, you can still be soft and be wise. You can be strong and be wise. You don't have to say, oh, being hardened is bitterness. No. You can set boundaries and be warm. You can say no and still be kind. You can keep your standards high and your spirit soft. Now, being soft or being strong really doesn't mean becoming foolish. It's becoming wise. And what do I mean stuff? It means I'll not be manipulated. I'll not overextend myself for someone who takes advantage of me. I will not explain my boundaries to someone committed to just crossing them. This is not coldness. Remember, this is clarity. We start asking the right questions today. Instead of asking, why doesn't he show up? Why doesn't she just do better? Why do I have to make her think, understand? Start asking the right questions. Like, what can I do to protect my peace? How do I rebuild structure for my child? Where do I find support for me? Because your healing begins when you focus to understand when you focus your mind on yourself and not on them. If you're still watching this, or if you're still waiting for a sign to move forward, I need you to understand this. I do not need to know your story before I know that you deserve peace, you deserve rest, you deserve to parent with joy, you deserve a community that holds you when it gets hard. And your child deserves to see parents who didn't just survive but overcame. And you can learn more when you take my course on the truths that actually work. Okay? Now, let's circle back to the dream. Remember those baby names, those family dreams, the vision of bringing kids in a happy, good home with laughter. They're not gone. They just evolved. You are the home now. You are the safe place. You are the calm in the chaos. You are the voice of truth. You're the hug that says, I've got you, baby. And someday, maybe when your child is grown, they will say, oh, I don't know how you did it, but I know that you're my hero. And in that moment, every tear, every sleepless nights, everything will feel worth it. So what now? What do you do now? You have two choices. You have two choices literally every day. You stay stuck in bitterness, hoping that the other parents will change and do better. Or you start building something beautiful from a broken. And if you're ready to choose the second option, I am willing to walk this down with you inside my course, Effective Co-Parenting with a Difficult Ex. I've laid out tools that I personally use to stop reacting to provocation, create a peaceful home, set boundaries without guilt, show up strong for myself, for my child, without losing myself honestly. And you know what? It's not about fixing them, it's about freeing you. And you can get started with a free training using the link in the description of this video. Now, let's move on. From one mama to another. Every time you choose to show up, remember this. You're planting a seed. Every time you choose peace over pettiness, you're breaking a cycle. Every time you love your child deeply, despite the hardship, you're doing holy work. You're being a great steward. You are not just surviving, you're raising hope. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them see your child grow in security. Let your legacy speak for itself. I see you and I've been you. And literally, I'm rooting for you every single day. Bye for now. See you on the next video. Bye.